Stop drinking water the same old way and expecting your nights to stay quiet, because if you are over 60 and you keep waking up 2, 3, even 4 times just to hurry to the bathroom, the issue is usually not the amount of water itself. The real trouble is the timing, the pace, and what your body is already struggling with in the background. Most people were never taught this clearly, not in a short doctor visit, not on a bottle label, not from the usual health tips people repeat all day long. But once you understand how aging changes the way the body handles fluids, the pattern becomes easier to see and much easier to fix. You do not always need pills. You do not always need procedures. And in many cases, you do not need anything complicated at all. You need a better map. Because after 60, your kidneys, hormones, circulation, and bladder do not react the way they did decades ago. The same habits that felt harmless at 35 can become sleep wreckers at 65, 75, or 85. That is the part many people miss. They keep doing the same thing, while their body has quietly changed the rules. And the result is frustration, broken sleep, low energy, foggy mornings, and the feeling that getting older automatically means losing restful nights. It does not have to be that way. In this script, I'm going to walk through the biggest hydration mistakes older adults make and the simple shifts that can change everything. Stay with me, because one of the habits that sounds the healthiest is often one of the worst triggers for waking up at night. And by the end, you may look at your water routine in a completely different way. A large study of older adults found that night waking to urinate is not some small annoyance people should just accept. It affects a huge number of seniors, and the impact reaches far beyond the bladder. People who wake up several times a night often lose a serious amount of deep sleep over time. That means more daytime fatigue, more irritability, slower thinking, weaker balance, and a greater chance of falls when they stand up in the dark, half asleep. It can even wear down mood little by little, because broken sleep does not just make you tired. It chips away at your stability, your patience, and your confidence. That is why this matters so much. This is not only about convenience. This is about protecting sleep, strength, and quality of life. And the first important thing to understand is this. Nighttime urination is not always a sign that you are drinking too much. Many people think, I must be overdoing water, so they cut back too hard, become mildly dehydrated, and still keep waking up. Why? Because the body's more complex than that. The kidneys may be slower, fluid may be shifting from the legs when you lie down. Hormones that once slowed urine production at night may not be as strong anymore. The bladder may also be more sensitive than it used to be. So, if you only focus on volume, you miss the bigger picture. Timing matters, speed matters, the type of drink matters, and what you do in the morning can echo all the way into the middle of the night. That sounds strange, but it is true. What happens after sunrise often decides what happens at midnight. Keep watching, because the next pattern is one of the most common reasons people sabotage their own sleep without ever realizing it. A very common mistake is what I call the catch-up pattern. It happens like this. A person wakes up, gets busy, drinks very little through the morning, maybe sips a little at lunch, and moves through the day slightly dehydrated without noticing it. Then evening arrives. Dinner's on the table, the day finally slows down, thirst shows up, and suddenly they drink a large amount of water, tea, or other fluids in a short window. On the surface, it feels responsible. They think they are making up for what they missed. But an older body often cannot handle that late fluid load smoothly. As the years pass, kidney filtering power gradually becomes less efficient. The system still works, but it does not move as fast or adjust as easily as it once did. So when a big wave of fluid arrives in the evening, the body may not clear it before bedtime. Instead, it gets processed later, right when the person is trying to stay asleep. That is when the bladder starts sending signals at 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., or later. And once sleep breaks, falling back asleep can be hard. The smarter move is simple and powerful. Drink more of your total daily fluids earlier. Let the body do the heavy work while it is fully awake, moving, and better prepared to handle the load. A good rule is to get the majority of your hydration in before mid-afternoon. That does not mean forcing water nonstop. It means building a steady rhythm across the morning and early afternoon instead of trying to repair the whole day at dinner. Small shifts here can lead to huge changes at night. And if you think this sounds too basic to matter, stay with me, because this one change alone has helped many people cut their nighttime trips dramatically. When people move their hydration earlier, the results can feel almost unreal at first. Someone who spent months or even years waking up again and again may suddenly notice fewer bathroom trips within a few weeks. Not because something magical happened, but because the body was finally given a routine it could handle. That is the key. The body likes rhythm, it likes predictability, and older systems depend on it even more. When fluids come in earlier, the kidneys have more time to process them. The bladder gets more chances to empty before night. Circulation is active, muscles are moving, everything works with less friction. Even simple habits can help here. A glass of water after waking, another with breakfast, more through late morning, then a stronger hydration window in the early afternoon. By evening, there is less need to catch up, which means less fluid waiting to be turned into urine while you're in bed. Some people also do better when part of that early hydration comes from gentle, simple drinks rather than plain water alone, especially if they have been under drinking for a long time. The point is not to make the day complicated. The point is to stop letting evening become the emergency zone for hydration. If most of your fluids arrive late, your bladder pays the price overnight. And there is another trap many people fall into right before bed because they think it is the safe thing to do. It sounds healthy, it sounds protective, but for many older adults, it quietly sets up the exact wake-up they are trying to avoid. This next part surprises almost everyone, so pay close attention, because one bedtime habit people trust the most can be the reason they are wide awake in the dark a few hours later. A full glass of water right before bed sounds harmless, even smart. Many people have heard some version of the advice. Drink before sleep so you do not get dehydrated overnight. Keep your circulation supported. Protect your body while you rest. And yes, there are situations where careful hydration matters. But for many older adults, a full drink in the last hour or two before bed is almost an invitation for the bladder to interrupt sleep. The reason is simple once you see it. During the day, fluid tends to gather in the lower body, especially in the legs and feet. That is why swelling can become more noticeable by evening. Then bedtime comes. You lie down. Gravity changes its direction on your body. Fluid that pooled lower during the day starts moving back into circulation. The kidneys receive more of it. They begin processing it. Now imagine adding a large glass of water right on top of that natural shift. You are increasing the total load at the exact moment your body is supposed to be settling into rest. It is easy to predict what happens next. A couple of hours later, the bladder signals. Sleep breaks. The night gets split in half. The answer is not to make yourself thirsty or scared of water. The answer is to be more controlled. If you are thirsty later in the evening, take a few small sips. Instead of automatically reaching for a large bottle or tall glass, use a smaller cup by the bed. Make the environment help you. That tiny change often works better than depending on willpower when you are tired. Your body is already dealing with internal fluid movement after you lie down. Do not pile extra work on top of it unless you truly need to. And what you drink matters too, because the next issue is not just about fluid volume. It is about what is missing inside that fluid. Hydration is not only water. That is one of the biggest lessons people learn too late. Water volume matters, yes, but minerals matter too, especially as the body ages. One of the most important is magnesium. Many older adults do not get enough of it from food, and absorption can become less efficient over time. That matters because magnesium helps muscles relax and function properly, including the bladder muscle. When levels are too low, the bladder can become more jumpy and more reactive. It may contract sooner than it should. It may create urgency when the bladder is not actually full. The feeling becomes real, but the trigger is misleading. That is why some people feel they need to urinate often, even when the amount is small. It is not always extra urine. Sometimes it is extra sensitivity. This is where modern drinking habits can add to the problem. Many people rely on heavily filtered or processed water that contains very few natural minerals. So, they are taking in fluid but not much support for muscle and nerve balance. Over time, that gap may matter more than they think. The goal is not to turn water into a science project. The goal is to remember that hydration should support the body, not only fill it. Mineral-rich foods earlier in the day can help. In some cases, mineral water may help. Some people do well with a doctor-approved supplement, especially when low magnesium is suspected. The point is to think beyond the glass itself. A body can look hydrated on paper and still be missing the quiet support it needs for calmer bladder control. And if that was surprising, the next part is even more revealing, because some of the healthy evening drinks people choose with the best intentions may be irritating the bladder more than plain water ever would. This is where the story takes a turn most people do not expect. Many nighttime bathroom trips are not caused by bad habits at all. They are caused by good intentions aimed in the wrong direction. People choose drinks that sound clean and healthy: herbal teas, sparkling water, coconut water, water with lemon, fruit-infused drinks, light evening tonics. They feel they are doing something beneficial. But an aging bladder can become more sensitive to compounds that never caused trouble in younger years. The lining of the bladder changes with time. Its natural protective barrier may not be as strong. And when that barrier becomes thinner or more reactive, even mild irritants can create urgency. Citrus is a major one. Lemon, orange, and other acidic additions can bother the bladder in some older adults, especially later in the day. Carbonation is another hidden trigger. Even if the drink has no sugar and no caffeine, the bubbles can still add pressure and irritation in a sensitive system. Some tea blends also contain ingredients that sound soothing, but are not always calming for the bladder. Drinks high in certain plant acids or added vitamins can keep the bladder talking long after the body wanted silence. This is why one person may swear by an evening drink, while another person keeps waking up after having the exact same thing. Sensitivity changes. Timing matters. If nighttime urgency is a problem, evening is not the best time to experiment with fancy beverages. Simpler is often safer. Plain water in modest amounts tends to cause the least trouble. If you want something warm, a very gentle tea may be fine for some people, but complex blends and acidic add-ins are often better left for earlier in the day. And there is one real-life pattern that shows this perfectly, because the drink that looks the most disciplined can sometimes produce the worst sleep. Imagine someone with a very careful routine. Dinner ends. The kitchen is clean. The house is quiet. They make a warm evening drink because it feels healthy and controlled. Maybe green tea with lemon, maybe a splash of vinegar, maybe sparkling water with citrus because it feels lighter than soda and more mature than dessert. They believe they are helping digestion, metabolism, or hydration, but then the night starts. One bathroom trip, then another, then one more before morning. They blame age, they blame the bladder, they blame sleep itself. Yet the real problem may be irritation, not disease. When people strip the evening routine back to basics for a week or two, the change can be immediate. Fewer triggers, less bladder agitation, more stable sleep. That is why a simple rule can work so well. After late afternoon or early evening, make drinks as neutral as possible. No sparkling water if it seems to bother you. No citrus add-ins, no health shots, no strong tea blends that sound elegant but act like irritants. Use calm choices, use plain options. Keep the last part of the day easy for your bladder. It has already worked hard. It does not need a final challenge before bed. And now we come to a habit that almost everyone praises, a habit that sounds undeniably smart, but may quietly start the entire chain reaction that ends in nighttime waking. This next point is important because it begins in the morning, not at night. That is right. The problem some people are fighting after midnight may actually start within minutes of getting out of bed. Stay with me, because once you see this pattern, you will never look at your first glass of water the same way again. A lot of people over 60 begin the day by quickly drinking a large glass of cold water. They have been told it is the perfect move. You just went many hours without fluids. Your body needs water. So you stand in the kitchen, fill a big glass, and drink it fast. It feels fresh. It feels disciplined. It feels like a healthy reset. But for some older adults, that fast flood of water may create a chain reaction the body does not handle well. When a large amount of water arrives all at once, especially on an empty stomach, and especially if it is cold, the body may respond by clearing it quickly. The kidneys get a strong signal. Urine production jumps early. On its own, that may not seem serious, but the larger issue is that fast hydration can disturb the body's fluid rhythm for the rest of the day. Hormones that help control water balance may be pushed into an uneven pattern. Instead of creating a steady hydration curve, the body gets a sharp spike followed by a strong flush. That can make later thirst and later fluid handling less stable, which matters more as people age. A smoother approach works better for many. Sip water slowly over the first 20 to 30 minutes of the morning. Use a smaller cup. Take a little, pause, move around, then take a little more. Let the body ease into the day instead of shocking it with a flood. This may sound minor, but small timing changes early in the morning can influence how much unnecessary urine shows up later in the evening, and that means what feels like a harmless health ritual at 7 a.m. might be nudging your bladder to wake you up at 1 a.m. That is why the next detail matters too, because the temperature and style of morning hydration can shape the whole day. Warm or room temperature water is often easier for an older body to manage than a large icy glass taken in one burst. As stomach acid and digestive strength change with age, the body may prefer a gentler start. This is not about making water fancy. It is about lowering stress and improving rhythm. Think of it this way. You are not trying to win a hydration race before breakfast. You are trying to create a calm, steady pattern the body can follow all day. A few sips when you wake up, more with breakfast, a little more later, then another hydration wave through late morning and early afternoon. This is how you build support without creating spikes. People often assume that healthy habits have to feel dramatic to be effective, but the body usually responds better to consistency than intensity. Quiet routines win, gentle pacing wins. And if you combine slow morning hydration with earlier daytime drinking and less evening overload, you are already solving a huge part of the problem. But now we come to the most important move of all, the one that ties together kidney timing, hormone rhythm, and bladder peace in a very practical way. If you only remember one strategy from this entire script, make it this one, because this is where many people finally stop guessing and start getting real improvement. It is not complicated, it is not expensive, but it requires commitment. Once this pattern becomes part of your day, the nights often begin to change. And when the nights change, everything changes with them. Better energy, better mood, better balance, better mornings. Here is the rule that connects all the pieces. Set a real cutoff for meaningful fluid intake about 2 hours before bed, then move a strong part of your hydration into the afternoon while your body is still ready to process it. This matters because nighttime urine production is controlled in part by a hormone that normally tells the kidneys to slow down while you sleep. In younger adults, that rhythm is usually stronger. In older adults, it often weakens. That means the kidneys may keep producing urine at a daytime-like pace even during the night. So if fluids are still coming in late, the body may simply keep sending them through. That is why this is often more of a timing problem than a bladder problem. The body is not always broken. It is just working on an unhelpful schedule. A useful approach is simple. If bedtime is 10 p.m., make 8 p.m. the line for your last real drink. After that, only small sips, if truly needed. Not a full glass, not a large mug, not a bottle beside the couch that disappears without you noticing. At the same time, do not underdrink. That would backfire. Build your stronger hydration window earlier, especially from early afternoon into late afternoon when circulation is active and the kidneys are in a better position to clear fluids before night begins. This is where many people finally find relief. They are not depriving themselves, they are shifting the load to a better part of the day, and once they do, the bladder has less work waiting for it after midnight. Still with me? Good, because the final piece makes this strategy even stronger, and it can help explain why some people improve quickly while others need one extra adjustment to get the full benefit. That final piece is how fluid moves through the body, not just how much you drink. Foods rich in potassium and simple balanced meals earlier in the day can help the body manage water more smoothly. Potassium works with sodium and water to influence how fluids are held and released in tissues. When the daytime pattern is better, there may be less extra shifting back into the bloodstream after you lie down at night. That means less surprise fluid arriving at the kidneys while you're asleep. Simple foods can help here. Yogurt, cucumber, banana, light soups earlier in the day, foods that support hydration without pushing everything into the evening. The main lesson is this: nighttime waking is often not random. It is not always just age, and it is not always a sign that something terrible is wrong. In many cases, it is the visible result of a daily rhythm problem that can be changed. The way you start the morning, the way you pace water, the way you avoid evening overload, the way you simplify your drinks after late afternoon, the way you respect that an older body has different timing needs. These things matter more than most people realize. And when people align their routine with how the body actually works now, not how it worked 30 years ago, they often start sleeping deeper, longer, and with fewer interruptions. That is the real goal: not to stop drinking water, not to fear the bladder, but to work with your body instead of against it. Try these changes with patience. Give them time. And watch what happens when simple timing mistakes are replaced by a smarter rhythm. If this opened your eyes, stay with this idea and test it for yourself, because sometimes the road back to better sleep begins with nothing more dramatic than changing when, how, and what you drink.